I want to talk about some of the major isotopes, or isotopes of radioactive elements. I'll just go through 4 of them, but remember there are 200. Now, some last seconds, and there's a thing called a half-life. For instance, radioactive iodine, 131, has a half-life of 8 days. So it decays so that you can start with a pound, and in 8 days you have half a pound of radioactive iodine. In 8 more days you have a quarter of a pound, you see? So you multiply a half-life by 10 to get its total radiological life. So it has a half-life of 8 days. It's poisonous for about 10 weeks. And it's nasty stuff. It's a beta emitter, remember that electron? And it's gamma. And where does radioactive iodine go? Yes. Yes, so what happens is when radioactive iodine lands in the water, the algae suck it up and concentrate it hundreds of times. Then the crustaceans eat the algae and it's concentrated further in the crustaceans. Then the little fish eat the crustaceans and it's concentrated hundreds of times in the little fish compared to the crustaceans. And then the big fish, okay? And then we eat the big fish, and we stand at the apex of the food chain, so these elements concentrate most highly in our bodies. So a huge amount of radioactive iodine was dumped in the Pacific. In fact, the seaweed, the kelp off Anaheim next to Disneyland was terribly radioactive and full of radioactive iodine. Soon after the accident, it didn't come in the ocean, it came because the winds brought it over and there must have been some rain which dumped it into the seaweed. Now, and so also a lot of, you can inhale radioactive iodine and it's absorbed from your lungs. And also apart from eating fish, what happens is it lands on the soil and then the grass sucks it up and concentrates it tens, hundreds of times. And the cows come and eat the grass. And it concentrates more highly in cow's milk. So radioactive iodine causes thyroid cancer, and it lasts for about 10 weeks. And it concentrates in fish and milk. The next one is cesium-137, and we'll talk more about this later, but that's a beta emitter and gamma. And it's a potassium analog, so the body thinks it's potassium, and every cell in the body is rich in potassium. It has a half-life of 30 years, so it's poisonous for 600 years or so. Well, you could say 300. I multiply half-life by 20, some do it by 10. But it's a long time. And it's around in the environment to reconcentrate in food. It causes brain cancers, muscle sarcomas, cancers of the testicle and ovary. It mutates genes in the eggs and the sperm. And it's very nasty stuff, and also we're finding concentrates in the myocardium, or the muscle of the heart, and quite a lot of people now in Fukushima are having sudden deaths from heart attacks, and the same happened after Chernobyl. Children were dying of sudden heart attacks. We've never really heard this before. It also concentrates in the endocrine glands, including the pancreas, where the islet cells produce insulin. So that's why we see a very high incidence of diabetes after nuclear accidents like Chernobyl and like Fukushima. Strontium-90 goes to the bone, where it radiates bone cells to cause bone cancer or leukemia, cancer of the white blood cells. It's around for about 600 years too, and it's a beta and gamma.